Hi everyone, I'm Jacy from Craft Life, and I'm here today to teach you how to make my rain balloon purse. If you know how to make my phone case, my fingerless gloves, my tangled bangle, or even my bow, then you should be able to make this purse. And I'm going to show you how to make this purse. But you can also use this design to make this purse or even this purse. And this purse took 2 looms and a lot of rubber bands. The supplies you'll need are 1 loom, and if you are making the big purse, you will need 2 looms. Rubber bands, today I'm using pink, yellow, and black. Your rain balloon hook or crochet hook. Scissors, and if you are adding a flap to your purse, for flap closure you can use a button and some dental floss. So please get your supplies and get ready for step 1. This is step 1. Now this depends on which purse you're making, so if you're making the smaller purse, this is how you'll set up your looms. So, you're going to start by taking out your center row. Then turn your loom so that the arrows are pointing to the left. You're going to take out your big blue piece. And we're going to turn this row around so that the arrows are pointing to the right. So that's how you set up for the small purse. Now, if you are making the larger purse, this is how you'll set up your loom. So we're going to take our first row, and you're going to put it so that the arrows are pointing away from you. Then you're going to take your next row, and you're going to put it so that the arrows are pointing towards you. You're going to take your small blue piece and lay both of these rows on the edge, on the blue piece. Then you're going to take your 2 big blue pieces, and we're going to lay our first side down so that it's in the middle, and our next side down so that it's in the middle. So it's practically in the middle of your blue piece. Now for this row, we're going to stick it down onto our big blue piece so that there's an equal amount of space between these two, and these 2. And we're going to do the same thing for the other side, but we're going to turn it around so that the arrows are pointing towards us. And there should be an equal amount of space between these 2, and these 2. And now, on your other end, you're just going to stick your last blue piece. So this is how you set up for your larger purse. So please set up your looms depending on which purse you are making so we can begin. Now we are ready to make our purse. I'm going to be making this purse, the small one, and if you want you can make the larger purse, and you will just repeat my steps and go all the way around the loom, the 2 looms with it. So to begin, we're going to lay our X's. And to do that, we're going to take our first color. We're going to make an X on these 2 pegs. Push that down. Make an X on these 2 pegs. Push that down. And you're going to continue making X's all the way down. And if you are making the big purse, you're going to go all the way down your 2 looms. And yes, it is going to take a long time to make and a lot of rubber bands. Now, once we're finished with that, we're going to lay X's all the way down from peg to peg, starting on these two. Now, once you're finished with that, we're going to turn our loom around so that this row is pointing away from us and this row is pointing towards us. Now, we're going to start on these two pegs, grab a rubber band, place it on them, and you're going to go all the way up and down. And then come back. Now, as you can see, we have a bottom row and a top row, and you want to make sure that your bottom row is separate from your top row. So you want to make sure they're all pushed down. And we're going to grab our hook, and we're going to take our bottom row over the top on all of these. So grab your bottom over the top, take your bottom over the top, and there are 3 on each of these except the ends. So 3 rubber bands, 3 rubber bands, 3, 3, 3, and this one is 2, and so is this one. So 2, and then the rest of these are 3, except the end. And 2. Now, you're going to push these down. And remember, if you're making the larger purse, you're going to go all the way down your 2 looms and do the same thing. Now, turn your loom around again. And we're going to push down our bottom row. And we're going to lay a top row. So make sure they're all pushed down. And we're going to start on this end. And we're going to go all the way around. And if I go too fast for you, please pause the video and press play when you are ready. Now, we have a bottom row and a top row, and we're going to bring our bottom row over the top on all of our pegs. So, bring your 2 rubber bands over the top. And all of your pegs are going to have 2 rubber bands to bring over the top. Now push these down, and we're going to do this side. Now, push down all of your rubber bands if you haven't already. And now this row becomes our bottom row, and we're going to lay another top row. So, we have just done 2 rows, and we need to have 25 rows in total to make this purse. And so you're going to do 23 more rows of laying your rubber bands in a counterclockwise rotation. And you're going to hook them over or bring your bottom row over the top in a clockwise rotation. I just wanted to let you know you can use whatever colors or patterns you want to use. I'm going to use this pattern, and I'm going to do 3 rows of each color. And since I did 2 rows with you, you're going to do 23 more rows so that you have 25 in total. And the way you can count your rows is you can either count those thick rubber bands that build up every time you bring your rows down, or every line that you see. So that's a line, and that's a line, and that's a thick rubber band, and that's a thick rubber band. So please do 23 more rows, and I'll be right back. This is what mine looks like after I've done 23 more rows, and now I have 25 rows in total. And I'm going to add a flap right now. But you don't have to add a flap, and later on in this tutorial, I will show you how to end it without a flap. So, I'm going to take this row off completely, and then you can start working on your flap. So, to do this, you want to separate your bottom row from the top row on all of these. So on this one, we're just going to take our bottom loop over the top, grab your bottom loop over the top. And by the way, I meant you're going to separate your top loop and your bottom loop from each other, not your top row and your bottom row. You're just going to grab your bottom loop each time. Then take this bottom loop over the top and go all the way down. And on this one, you're just going to bring it to that side. And you want to just make sure that on each of these, the loop before your loops is grabbing all of them. So just make sure it looks like this. And now we can just take it off. And it will look like they're breaking, but they're not. So you just need to get them used to their position and they will stretch out. Now we're just going to do the back row for 12 rows. So we're going to turn it so that the arrow is pointing away from us. And you're going to take your rubber band and you're going to go all the way down. Now we have a bottom row and a top row, and we're just going to take our bottom row over the top. So turn your loom around so that the arrows are pointing towards you. And you're just going to grab your bottom row over the top on all of these. And all of them have 2 rubber bands except for the edges. And I'm sorry, it's only this edge, and this edge has 2 rubber bands too. So now you're going to push this down, and you're going to continue your flap for 11 more rows. You're just going to lay your rubber bands down, all the way down, and bring your bottom loops over the top. I'll be right back. I just finished my 11 more rows, and now I have 12 rows in total. But before I started my flap, I made a little bit of a mistake. So I wanted to do 3 rows of each color, and when I started my flap, I accidentally did another row of pink when I was supposed to start on yellow. So if you're making the same purse as me, whatever color your first row of your flap is going to be, it's going to be a different color than your purse. So this is only if you're doing 3 rows for each color. So now we are ready to end our flap and our purse. So you're going to start on this row, this peg, We're going to take a rubber band, twist it on this peg 3 or 4 times. I am going to do 3. Now, we're just going to bring the bottom loop over the top and onto the peg in front of it. And you can separate these loops with your finger. And it is easier because you can see which one is your bottom loop and your top loop. And you're just going to grab your bottom loop each time. And there are some other ways that you may know how to hook through these, but this is the way I like to do it. So you're just taking your bottom loop over the top on each of these. Grab the bottom loop over the top. And keep going all the way down. And when you get to ones that are twisted, you can just separate them with your nail. Now, as you can see, with my hooking loops, all my hook loops, the loop that I hook over grabs the loops behind it. So on this one, it grabs the loops behind it, and you just want to check them to make sure that each of them grabs all the loops behind it. And on your last peg, you're just going to take your bottom loop over the top. You're going to pull this tight, and then you can take it off your loom. But if you did not hook this correctly, it may fall apart. And now we are ready to attach our button and our strap. Now we are ready to attach a button. To do this, you're going to take your dental floss and your rubber band. You're going to slide your rubber band onto the dental floss, put the two ends together, and twist them. Now you're going to go up through your button from the back, and then go back down from the top. Now you're just going to pull this through, and your rubber band should start coming out the back again. Then, once they're equal in the back, you're just going to take off your dental floss. So now you have two loops in the back, and we're going to choose a spot for the button. I'm going to do it about right here because when I put my flap down, I'm going to want to have my button all the way at the edge so it stops it from curling up, like I did in this purse. The button is at the very edge, and it stops the rest of the purse from curling. So that's what I'm going to do for this purse too. So I'm going to place my button around here, because when this comes down, it's all the way at the edge. So I'm going to stick my hook up on this side. I'm going to grab my first loop, pull it back, inside of my purse. Then I'm going to stick it back up, grab my second loop, and pull my second loop through. So now I just pulled both of my loops through the back, and I'm going to pull one loop through the other. And just before I tie it off, I want to make sure this is in the correct spot, and yes it is. So I'm going to flip this around, and I want to make another slip knot for my slip knot to tie onto. So I'm just going to stick my hook through random rubber bands in the back. I'm going to pull a rubber band through them. I'm going to grab it through two and make another slip knot. Now I have two slip knots, and I'm just going to tie them together. Tie these two, and you can tie it however many times you want. I'm going to tie mine 3 times, and then you can cut these off, and then you can make sure it's in the right spot again. And you're done with adding your button. Now we are ready to attach a strap. For my strap, I did a simple fishtail, and I will show you how to make this. But for my larger purses strap, I did a double treble. And if you would like to make this kind of strap, I have a video for this. So, to make the fishtail, you're going to start out with your first color, and we're just going to make an X on these 2 pegs. And some of you call these 8s, figure 8s, so I'm making my X's, but you can make your 8s. And then you're going to take your next color and your next color, or whatever colors you want to use. So now we have 3 rubber bands. We're just going to take our bottom loop over the top and our bottom loop over the top. So you're just going to push that down. And since I just brought over black, I'm going to lay a black rubber band. And I'm just going to take my bottom loop over the top and my bottom loop over the top. And since I just brought over pink, I'm going to lay a pink rubber band. I'm going to take my yellow over the top. Now push this down. Since I just brought yellow over the top, I'm going to use a yellow rubber band. Now I'm going to bring my bottom loop over the top. So you're going to continue this for whatever size you want to make your strap. And I have mine already finished. And at both ends, you just want to make a slip knot. You can use 2 rubber bands, 3 rubber bands. I just used 1 since I'm making the smaller purse. But if you're making a larger purse, you may want to use 4 to 5. So now I'm going to find out where I want to put my strap. And I'm going to put it on either end. So I'm going to take my hook. You're going to stick it in a fishtail, any fishtail on the side. So I'm just going to stick it in that one. Now you're going to grab 2 rubber bands. You're going to pull these through. And you can just put it back on for now. You're just going to get your loop ready. You're going to pull this back off. Put it on. Pull this through. And place your 2 back on. Now you're going to pull 1 loop through the other. And you just made another slip knot. So now, once I have this slip knot done, I want to make another slip knot inside so I can tie it to it. So inside, I'm just going to grab some rubber bands. This time, I'm just going to grab 1 rubber band, pull 1 loop through the other. So now I have 2 slip knots, and I'm just going to tie them together. And this depends on you. You can use however many rubber bands you want and however secure you want to make it. I'm doing a few knots. And then you can just cut those off. And for this side, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to stick your hook through a fishtail on the side. You're going to grab 2 rubber bands, pull it through. You can either place this down and grab it, but since I have mine close, I'm just going to grab it, pull this through. And I almost lost it, but you're just going to pull it through. Place this one back on. You're going to pull 1 loop through the other. And you've just created another slip knot. So we want to make another slip knot to tie it onto. Take a rubber band, pull this through. Then you can tie your 2 slip knots together. And you can tie them however many times you would like. I'm doing mine 2 or 3. Now I'm just going to cut my rubber bands, just make sure they're tight again. I'm just going to cut off my extra rubber bands. And do the same for this side. And you can just button this up. And you have finished the mini purse. I just showed you how to make a purse with a flap. And now I'm going to show you how to end your purse without a flap. So, I made a whole nother purse. And I'm just going to end it. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So, we're going to do this by turning it so this row's arrows are pointing towards you. So you might want to go around and take the bottom loop and separate it from the top loop, or you can do it as you go. So I'm just going to grab my bottom loop, and we're actually going to start on this peg. So we're just going to take our bottom loop over the top and onto the peg next to it. Now you're going to stick your hook in, grab your bottom loop over the top and onto the peg in front of it. And as you can see, I know it's my bottom loop because it grabbed all the rubber bands behind it. And if yours doesn't do that, then you grab the wrong rubber band. So you're just going to take your bottom loop over the top. And you're going to go all the way around with this. Now, for the side, we're just going to grab our bottom rubber band and bring it to the side. Now we're going to turn our loom around so that this row's arrow is pointing towards us again. And we're going to hook all the way down. And then you're just going to finish this off. Take your bottom loop over the top. And we're going to stick our hook through those two loops. You're going to grab your rubber band, put it back on your hook, and pull one loop through the other to make a slip knot. Now we're just going to take these off. And you can help your loops off, or you can just take them right off. But I prefer helping them so they don't break. And if you haven't hooked this correctly, then it may fall apart. And you can just take it off on this row. And at the end of this tutorial, I will tell you how many rows you need to do for each purse. So now once this is done, we're just going to adjust our loops. You can pull them around. And now we're ready to add a strap. Now we are ready to attach a strap. So for your strap, you can do any design you would like. And I did a simple fishtail. And if you would like to do a simple fishtail too, then please rewind this video. And at both ends, you're going to make a slip knot. Now, I have a slip knot just hanging out, and I'm just going to stick it through the inside and pull it through. So now it's on the inside. So now I'm going to take two rubber bands, I'm going to stick my hook through some loops in the back. I'm going to stick them out. Now I'm going to pull my 2 rubber bands back through it. Now, if you can, grab one end, grab your slip knot, put it on your hook, and you're just going to pull this through and pull this loop through it. So now we just made another slip knot, and you're going to tie it to the slip knot we pulled to the back. I'm going to pull these and tie them. I'm going to tie mine 3 or 4 times, and this depends on how secure you want your strap to your purse to be. Now you can just cut your excess rubber bands, and when you pull this up, it should stick in the inside so you won't see it. Now we're going to do the same for the other side. So you're going to turn it around. We're going to stick our hook through some rubber bands. We're going to grab 2 rubber bands and pull these through. Now grab your other end, your slip knot, pull this through, and pull your 2 rubber bands back through. So now we made a slip knot, and now we're going to make another slip knot for it to tie onto. So you're going to grab some rubber bands in the back. You're going to pull a rubber band through and make a slip knot. And it doesn't matter how many rubber bands you want to use. It just depends on how secure you want your purse to be. So I'm just going to tie mine together. I am tying mine 3 times, but you can tie yours 4. So now you're going to cut these off. And this knot should be on the inside too. And you're done. Now I'm going to tell you what you need to make your purses. I'm going to tell you the rubber bands and the amount of rows. And the strap is not included in the amount of rubber bands because it is up to you on how long you want to make it. So, if you want to make this purse, the purse we just finished, you will need 1,000 rubber bands, at least 1,000 rubber bands. And it is 30 rows. If you would like to make either one of these purses with a flap, they are 24 rows for the purse and 12 rows for the flap. And both of these are at least 1,000 rubber bands. If you would like to make this purse, it is great for phones, sunglasses, or even glasses. It is 1,000 rubber bands, at least 1,000 rubber bands, and it is 36 rows. And for this purse, you will need 2 looms, about 3,000 rubber bands, and 50 rows. So yes, this is a huge project and it does take a long time to make. So, this is what you need for your purses. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and as you can see, there's a variety of purses you can make. And I just wanted to say hi to Georgia, because on Facebook, she showed me a purse that she made, and it looks just like this one. So, hi Georgia! And if you make some, I'd love to see them. My Instagram name is CraftLifeUSA, so please tag me in a photo. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, pin it on Pinterest, and subscribe right here on YouTube. I hope you're living a craft life just like me. Thanks for watching. Bye!